All right, so picking up where we left off, what we're going to do now is we're going to go into the rigs folder. And actually, no, we don't need to do that. There's a reason why. It's because these templates only include the simple mani, and they don't actually have the weapon bones. So it's what we want to actually do is come down to. Okay, so there's a hand grip socket here already. I guess we'll just use that hand grip socket. Or, yeah, we'll use that hand grip socket. See, if you select this weapon R muzzle, even though the weapon R is part of the hand R, you'll see it's grayed out. That means that the bone only exists on the skeleton, but not on this current mesh. This simple mesh does not have that bone. It doesn't exist, which is why the weapon R muzzle is down here on the ground at the root. So we'll just use that hand grip R for the rifle. So what we're gonna do is go into unarmed, and I'm gonna mute my phone. I don't know why it's like a machine gun going off over here today. Yeah, so we're going to stop this playthrough, and we're going to scrub to frame 0, and we're actually going to go to create asset, create animation, current pose, and then under here we're going to say layering, and I'm just going to call this the idle pose. You can even call it unarmed idle pose if you want. I'm just going to call it idle pose because I'm not going to be using any of the other armed ones here. And for some reason, this might be a bug because I'm pretty sure I put that under the layering folder, or that I had it selected, but maybe I didn't. Anyway, we're going to duplicate this. There's a reason why we're duplicating it. We still need to keep this specific pose for when we go to set up our layering. So I'm going to call this the M4A1 aim. And what we're going to do is go to edit and see, actually before we do that, let's go to preview settings, and you'll notice that this is set to Quinn. We're going to set this to Mani. You want to do that and apply to asset, because if you don't, you're going to have issues. I'm not going to get into that stuff and what the purpose of it is in this video, because it's a little bit beyond the scope, but basically it'll cause serious issues if you don't do that. So with this, we're going to go to bake to control rig and see our mannequin body, and press the bake to control rig after this window pops up. And then you'll see the character over here at world 0. That's why I deleted everything. The first thing you'll notice is that we have a track here, and we're on frame 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. But this is actually 2 frames. We have frame 0, 0 right here, and we have frame 1 right here. So we're going to delete that keyed frame. Actually, I'll not delete it real quick so I can show you the problem that it causes if you don't do that. So under this right here, under global control, we can come down here and we can check this ARM-L FK-IK switch, and you'll see it turns into IK mode, and that turns into IK mode. So IK mode basically gives you a single control, and then it solves for the rotation for you, okay? Right here, this is your auto key. This means that if I move something, it should be auto keying it if this is enabled. It's disabled by default, so enable that. And then come up here and right click and add additive. And I'm going to show you that those same keys, I can't switch from IK to FK right here. It's just simply not possible. You have to do it from the base pose. So I'm going to name this base pose. And then right here, I'm going to name this aim pose. And then I'm going to save it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this, and then I'm just going to save it. And when I save it, it'll update it. And so now you'll see that it's updated. But if I start playing this, you'll see he's starting to twitch all over the place. Now, why is that happening? Okay. That's because we are on an additive track, and the additive track, it'll add the pose that we made on frame 0. It'll add that across the entire timeline until it runs into another keyed frame. So if you set another keyed frame over here, then in between these frames, it'll interpolate towards those changes. Okay, so on the base pose, we actually have this. It's still in FK mode on here, and that's because I never set this key manually for frame 1, which means that I'd have to make the changes across every frame on this timeline, and I don't want to do that. I'm just making a single frame pose. Now, you can't actually have a single frame animation. You can only have, the minimum is 2 frames. So even though it looks like 1 frame because we have a marker that's spanning across these 2 frames, it's still 2 frames, 1 here and 1 here. Okay. Also, I like to key all the frames on my additive track whenever I create it, just for safety purposes. Now, we don't have our weapon in here, so how are we going to create this pose where he's aiming the weapon? Well, we're going to have to drag the weapon in here, and then we're going to, with it selected in the viewport, you can go to add actor track, and it should show up right here at the very top. And then right click and go to spawnable. And what this means is basically if I save this and I close this, it'll go away. It's no longer in the world. And if I come over here and I create a new level and I say basic, then if I come over here and I open this up, I can go back to edit and sequence, and I can open that level sequence. Do not press unlink level sequence. I wish they made it more difficult to accidentally press that. If you accidentally press that, you're going to have to go into it and relink it manually. Yeah, it's kind of, I wish they would do something about that, but they haven't, and it's always been like that. Anyway, so now you'll see we're in a new thing, and the weapon is there, and it's right where we left it. So I'm just going to go back to the level that we were working from. And then I'm just going to open this again. All right, so there's multiple ways that you can attach this to the character. You can create a constraint. You can constrain it to a specific control, or you can say I can just directly add without selecting a parent. And if I do that, I'll get an eyedropper icon, which seems to be missing in 5.8 for some reason. But if you move over and you just select the mesh, it'll show everything up here. You see, do not press this reset button. It will crash the engine. It's a bug. If you press that reset, it's supposed to zero everything out for you back to default. If you do it though, it'll crash the engine. So don't press that button. That's the no button. Don't press it. Whatever you do, it's the big red button that says do not press. Anyway, you can also attach by pressing this and attaching it directly using the older method, and that works just fine. Except that you have to deal with this weird stuff. You can just reset the transform though, and it'll put it where it's supposed to be. So it looks like they've already kind of rotated and positioned that hand grip bone for us, which is cool, I suppose. That means that all we have to do is actually modify the way, or everything else basically. So whenever you're creating an aim pose, it's important that you know that how accurate you're aiming in the scene will determine how accurate your aim offset is within the game and how accurate you're actually aiming. Now, this is not to be confused with how accurate your aim angle is that you're telling it to aim at, because there's a difference there. A lot of people, you'll set this up and then you'll go and stand in front of the wall, and your character's right here, and your camera's right here. And let me place an object here so you can see. And let's say the camera is right here. Now the character is going to be aiming over here. It's not going to be aiming over here. And people are going to be like, "Oh, well, that's not accurate." It is accurate if you're telling the character to aim at the world rotation of the camera. So the forward world rotation of the camera, when it's to the right, it's looking at this, but from the character's perspective, you see it's looking over here. So I coined the term distance-based aim offset for what they were actually wanting it to do, which is to aim at whatever is in front of the camera, because you have to do a line trace from the camera, you have to get the location, then you have to calculate the angle from the character over here to this location. And so the actual aim angle will vary based off of how far or close the object is from the camera. So anyway, that's beside the point. I'm drowning on, but yeah, this part of the video was kind of optional, which is why I kind of feel like it's okay to throw in some extra details.